Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Story Nook. Today, we are going to be reading another chapter of Pride and Prejudice. We are on chapter 5, I believe. It's been a while since I read Pride and Prejudice, hence while we're here, making sure everything is within margins. Because it's been a minute since I actually recorded anything. I've been working on video editing for Sonic June. This is actually 6, isn't it? Yeah, because that's 5. 1 after the 5 is 6. We're on chapter 6. Never mind, not chapter 5. It's it's been that long since I've read anything. I took a hiatus from reading, and I've just been like video editing. But it's cool because we only upload once a day. Because that's, well, not once a day. We upload once a week on YouTube and once a day on the Spotify, because the Spotify was behind by 2 years. So Spotify and this are not gonna, and YouTube aren't gonna catch up for a while. However, if I get monetized on either YouTube or Spotify, I might consider uh recording more often. But we will see. Right now, I work my 40 hours a week, and it is a lot. The ladies of Longbourn soon waited on those of Netherfield. The visit was returned in due form. Miss Bennet's pleasing manners grew on the goodwill of Mrs. Hurst and Miss Bingley, and though the mother was found to be intolerable, and the younger sisters not worth speaking to, a wish of being better acquainted with them was expressed towards the two eldest. By Jane, this attention was received with the greatest pleasure. But Elizabeth still saw superciliousness. I don't know what that word means. Where is... Okay. What is this? A haughty, disdainful, or arrogant attitude where someone acts superior to others. So Elizabeth sees them as being, like, haughty and disdainful towards them in their treatment of everybody, hardly expecting even her sister, and could not like them. Though their kindness to Jane, such as it was, had a value as arising, in all probability, from the influence of their brother's admiration. It was generally evident, whenever they met, that he did admire her, and to her it was equally evident that Jane was yielding to the preference which she had begun to entertain for him from the first, and was in a way to be very much in love. Okay, so Jane and Mr. Bingley are crushing. So the sisters are being nice to her simply because it seems like, oh, our brother likes her. But Elizabeth is just like, they seem a bit haughty and they think they're better than everyone else. But she considered with pleasure that it was not likely to be discovered by the world in general, since Jane united with great strength of feeling, a composure of temper, and a uniform cheerfulness of manner, which would guard her from the suspicions of the impertinent. This is just me copying shit. And pasting it. Behavior that is rude, disrespectful, or improperly forward. This is important. If you don't understand a word and you can't infer it or understand it based off the context of the words around it, I always recommend looking it up in the dictionary. And since this book, when was Pride and Prejudice written? The book came out in 1813. So that's over 100 years ago. If math is right. Well, no, over 1,000 years ago. Because 1813, 1913, 2013, so over 2,000 years ago. Look, I can kind of math, okay? This cough is coming for me this morning. She mentioned this to her friend, Miss Lucas. It may, perhaps, be pleasant, replied Charlotte, to be able to impose on the public in such a case. But it is sometimes a disadvantage to be so very guarded. If a woman conceals her affection with the same skill from the object of it, she may lose the opportunity of fixing him, and it will then be but poor consolation to believe the world equally in the dark. There is so much of gratitude and vanity in almost every attachment that it is not safe to leave any to itself. We can all begin freely. A slight preference is natural enough. But there are very few of us who have heart enough to be really in love without encouragement. In 9 cases out of 10, a woman had better show more affection than she feels. Bingley likes your sister, undoubtedly, but he may never do more than like her if she does not help him on it. AKA, if she doesn't show that she is interested in him, he may just go, oh, I like her, but she doesn't seem interested in me, so I'm gonna go move on. But she does help him on, as much as her nature will allow. If I can perceive her regard for him, he must be a simpleton indeed not to discover it. Remember, Eliza, that he does not know Jane's disposition as you do. But if a woman is partial to a man and does not endeavor to conceal it, he must find it out. Perhaps he must, if he sees enough of her. But though Bingley and Jane meet terribly often, it is never for many hours together. And as they always see each other in large mixed parties, it is impossible that every moment should be employed in conversing together. Jane should therefore make the most of every half hour in which she can command his attention. When she is secure of him, there will be leisure for falling in love as much as she chooses. Your plan is a good one, replied Elizabeth, where nothing is in question but the desire of being well married. And if I were determined to get a rich husband, or any husband, I dare say I should adopt it. But these are not Jane's feelings. She is not acting by design. As yet she cannot even be certain of the degree of her own regard, nor of its reasonableness. She has known him only a fortnight. She danced 4 dances with him at Meryton. She saw him one morning at his own house, and has since dined in company with him 4 times. This is not quite enough to make her understand his character. Because she's like, they haven't known each other that long, so yeah, Jane's crushing, but she doesn't know his character very well yet. She just knows she likes him. Not as you represent it. She had merely dined with him. Had she merely dined with him, she might only have discovered whether he had a good appetite. But you must remember that 4 evenings have been also spent together, and 4 evenings may do a great deal. Yes, these 4 evenings have enabled them to ascertain that they both like vingt un better than commerce, But with respect to any other leading characteristic, I do not imagine that much has been unfolded. Well, said Charlotte, I wish Jane success with all my heart, and if she were married to him tomorrow, I should think she had as good a chance of happiness as if she were to be studying his character for a 12th month. 12th month, I'm going to presume, based off of how it's said, is shorthand, or how they said 12 months, so like a year. Considering like a fortnight is only like a few days. Happiness in marriage is entirely a matter of chance. If the dispositions of the parties are ever so well known to each other, or ever so similar beforehand, it does not advance their felicities in the least. They always continue to grow significantly unlike afterwards, to have their share of vexation. And it is better to know as little as possible of the defects of the person with whom you are to pass your life. I disagree with that. Like, to know as little as possible of the person you're about to spend the rest of your life with flaws. I disagree. You make me laugh, Charlotte. But it is not sound. You know it is not sound. And that you would never act in this way yourself. Occupied in observing Mr. Bingley's attention to her sister Elizabeth, was far more suspecting that she was herself becoming an object of some interest in the eyes of his friend. Mr. Darcy had at first scarcely allowed her to be pretty. He had looked at her without admiration at the ball, and when they next met he looked at her only to criticize. But no sooner had he made it clear to himself and his friends that she had hardly a good feature in her face, than he began to find it was rendered uncommonly intelligent by the beautiful expression of her dark eyes. To this discovery succeeded some others equally mortifying. Though he had detected with a cynical eye more than one failure of perfect symmetry in her form, he was forced to acknowledge her figure to be light and pleasing, and in spite of his asserting that her manners were not those of the fashionable world, he was caught by their easy playfulness. Of this she was perfectly unaware. To her he was only the man who made himself agreeable nowhere, and who had not thought her handsome enough to dance with. He began to wish to know more of her, and as a step towards conversing with her himself, attended to her conversation with others. His doing so drew her notice. It was at Sir William Lucas's, where a large party assembled. So essentially he's begun like, oh, I'm beginning to have interest in you. I would like to get to know you, so I wish to converse with you. So I'm going to input myself in your conversations to try to get to know you. That's what's happening. Even though y'all already got off on the wrong foot. What does Mr. Darcy mean, she said to Charlotte, by listening to my conversation with Colonel? I think this word is Colonel. Forster. That is a question which Mr. Darcy only can answer. But if he doesn't any more, I shall certainly let him know that I see what he's about. He has a very satirical eye, and if I do not begin by being impertinent myself, I shall soon grow afraid of him. So if she doesn't be a little rude herself, she might find him a little bit terrifying. I was approaching them soon afterwards, though, without seeming to have any intention of speaking, Miss Lucas defied her friend to mention such a subject to him. This is copyright. I think this is entreats of several. Thing is thin, so we have a lady here at the piano, a gentleman here, another gentleman standing. It looks like he was sitting there talking to her, and these three got in the way, and then you've got like a dude in the background. Mentioned to him, which immediately provoking Elizabeth to do it, she turned to him and said, "Did you not think, Mr. Darcy, that I expressed myself uncommonly well just now, when I was teasing Colonel Foster to give us a ball at Merrington?" hold on. I expressed myself uncommonly well. So she voiced it very well when she was like teasing him, like, come on, throw a ball for us at Merrington. With great energy, but it is a subject which always makes a lady energetic. AKA, women love balls, women love parties, so of course you would be energetic and voice it well. You are severe on us. It will be her turn soon to be teased, said Miss Lucas. I am going to open the instrument, Eliza, and you know what follows. You are a very strange creature by way of a friend, always wanting me to play and sing before anybody and everybody. If my vanity had taken a musical form, you would have been invaluable. But as it is, I would really rather not sit down before those who must be in the habit of hearing the very best performers. On Miss Lucas's persevering, however, she added, very well. If it must go, it must. If it must be so, it must. And gravely glancing at Mr. Darcy, there is a very fine old saying which everybody here is of course familiar with. Keep your breath to cool your porridge, and I shall keep mine to swell my song. Her performance was pleasing, though by no means capital. After a song or two, and before she could reply to the entreaties of several that she would sing again, she was eagerly succeeded at the instrument by her sister Mary, who, having, in consequence of being the only plain one in the family, worked hard for knowledge and accomplishments, was always impatient for display. So essentially, they're saying Mary is the plain one. She's the most average looking of the sisters. And so she works very hard on being skillful and showing things on display. So she is always very excited to have the chance to stand out. Mary had neither genius nor taste, and though vanity had given her application, it had given her likewise a pedantic air and conceited manner which would have injured a higher degree of elegance than she had reached. Elizabeth, easy and unaffected, had been listened to with much more pleasure, though not playing half so well. And Mary, at the end of a long concerto, was glad to purchase praise and gratitude by Scotch and Irish airs, at the request of her younger sisters, who, with some of the Lucases and 2 or 3 officers, joined eagerly in dancing at one end of the room. Mr. Darcy stood near them in silent indignation at such a mood of passing the evening, to the exclusion of all conversation, and was too much engrossed by his own thoughts to perceive that Mr. William Lucas was his neighbor, till Sir William thus began. What a charming amusement for young people this is, Mr. Darcy. There is nothing like dancing, after all. I consider it as one of the first refinements of polished societies. Certainly, sir. And that has the advantage also of being in vogue almost the least polished societies of the world. Every savage can dance. Sir William only smiled. Your friend performs delightfully, he continued after a pause, on seeing Bingley join the group, and I doubt not that you are an adept in the science yourself, Mr. Darcy. You saw me dance at Merrington, I believe, sir. Yes, indeed, and received no inconsiderable pleasure from the sight. Do you often dance at St. James? Never, sir. Do you not think it would be a proper compliment to the place? Okay, do you not think it would... He's essentially asking, don't you think it's weird? And don't you think it would only be, like, proper and expected that you would dance in such a place? It is a compliment which I never pay to any place if I can avoid it. If you have a house in town, I conclude, Mr. Darcy bowed. I had once some thoughts of fixing in town and myself, for I am fond of superior society. But I did not feel quite certain that the air of London would agree with Lady Lucas. He paused in hopes of an answer, but his companion was not disposed to make any. And Elizabeth, at that instant moving towards them, he was struck with a notion of doing a very gallant thing, and called out to her, My dear Miss Eliza, why are you not dancing? Mr. Darcy, you must allow me to present this young lady to you as a very desirable partner. You cannot refuse to dance, I am sure, when so much beauty is before you. And taking her hand, he would have given it to Mr. Darcy, who, though extremely surprised, was not unwilling to receive it, and when she instantly drew back and said, with some discomposure to Sir William, "Indeed, sir, I have not the least intention of dancing. I entreat you not to suppose that I moved this way in order to beg for a partner." Mr. Darcy, with grave propriety, requested to be allowed the honor of her hand, but in vain. Elizabeth was determined, nor did Sir William at all shake her purpose by his attempt at persuasion. "You excel so much in the dance, Miss Eliza, that it is cruel to deny me the happiness of seeing you, and though this gentleman dislikes the amusement in general, he can have no objection, I am sure, to oblige us with for 1/2 hour. Mr. Darcy is all politeness," said Elizabeth, smiling. "He is indeed, but considering the inducement, my dear Miss Eliza, we cannot wonder of his complacence." I think that word is complacence. I don't have much longer, so I will Google that later if I can't remember what it is. But who would object to such a partner? Elizabeth looked archly and turned away. Her resistance had not injured her with the gentleman, and he was thinking of her with some complacency, when thus accosted by Miss Bingley. "I can guess the subject of your retrieve. I should imagine not. You are considering how insupportable it would be to pass in many evenings in this manner, in such society, and indeed I am quite of your opinion. I was never more annoyed. The insipidity, and yet the noise, the nothingness, and yet the self-importance of all these people. What would I give to hear your strictures on them? Your conjecture is totally wrong, I assure you. My mind was more agreeably engaged. I have been meditating on the very great pleasure which a pair of fine eyes in the face of a pretty woman can bestow." Miss Bingley immediately fixed her eyes on his face and desired he would tell her what lady had the credit of inspiring such reflections. Mr. Darcy replied with great intrepidity. Intrepidity. La 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 la. I know words. I write books. It's okay. We can use a book called a dictionary to figure out what these words mean later. Miss Elizabeth Bennet. Miss Elizabeth Bennet, repeated Miss Bingley. "I am all astonishment. How long has she been such a favorite? And pray when am I to wish you joy?" That's Miss Bingley. Not Miss Bennet. I read the wrong name. Both start with B. "That is exactly the question which I expected you to ask. A lady's imagination is very rapid. It jumps from admiration to love, from love to matrimony in a moment. And I knew you would be wishing me joy. Because that's how this society works. A woman cannot own land. She cannot have a job. Her only thing to secure a steady future is marriage. Love is nice, but marriage is sadly a requirement in, like, the 1800s, it seems. Nay, if you are so serious about it, I shall consider the matter as absolutely settled. You will have a charming mother-in-law indeed, and, of course, she will be always at Pemberley with you." He listened to her with perfect indifference, while she chose to entertain herself in this manner. And as his composure convinced her that all was safe, her wit flowed along. And that is chapter 7. So we're gonna scroll up to the image that was placed here. Oh, wrong button. We're gonna come over here so you can look at the illustration for chapter 6. And remember to stay safe, stay healthy, stay hydrated. Water is good. I have water today. And that's what I have by my desk for early morning readings at 5 a.m. But many thanks to the Patreon and Ko-fi supporters who support me and make it possible for me to be able to read these videos for you. Remember, if you support me on Patreon, you get early access to videos, you get early access to my artwork, downloadable desktop wallpapers that I drew. You'll get other things like there are polls there. No one ever votes on them. It's sad. But yeah, you also, I'm working on opening a physical merch shop online on Ko-fi, so where I'll be selling physical merch. I've also, there was an issue with my publisher, Draft to Digital. I don't know if I talked about it last time, but I'm having to republish in with all my books. So I'm editing them, and so you'll be able to get them on my Patreon, my Ko-fi, my Itch.io, and I'm publishing them myself to Amazon and Ko-fi, and some of the titles because of not Amazon and Google Playbooks. Google Playbooks requires more distinct titles. I tend to like have one word titles, so my books are now going to have the anime-esque titles. So enjoy that. But many thanks to the Patreon Ko-fi supporters who makes it where I don't have to worry so much about my bills. I would love to make writing and making videos my full-time job. Sadly, I cannot because it does not bring me any money at this moment in time. But many thanks to those who are encouraging me to still go forward. And you can also join Patreon and follow for free and have your names read aloud in these credits. So, yeah. Anyone who commissions me on Ko-fi, your names also get read. Tweety Cakes, Axel1154, Kaleidoscope Chick, Cassie G, Chadas DS, Axel Alcaraz, Pizza Nene, Camelia Rojas, Kara Quinn, Semi Random Sevens, and Micah. You're all wonderful. You're awesome. And yeah, oh, commissions are open on Ko-fi. I have voice acting commissions if you want me to voice act for you. I've got quick sketch commissions if you want any of those. Commissions for like little chibis and all that kind of stuff. You can also see some of my sticker designs floating about in the background. Some of those you can get on my Redbubble, and some will be on my physical Ko-fi shop when I begin selling things physically. Right now, what is set for physical is some acrylic charm earrings and maybe some hand printed, like printed on some cardstock with my Canon printer, postcards and whatnot. So yeah, have a great day. Remember to stay safe, stay healthy, all that good jazz. Bye bye.